Good morning everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. I'm here in the holiday home that we have and I've been having a splendid vacation. I actually tried to record this video at the beach yesterday, but it just didn't work out with all of the noise and the way that I recorded it. So I'm going to give it a try again. I want to discuss my recent reads with you where I've read quite a few interesting reads. I read a couple of 5-star reads, ones that are going to end up in my all-time favorites, and also ones that are going to end up in my favorites of the year list. And you're probably hearing some seagulls outside. I'm sorry. And my son is also in the background, so chances are you might hear him as well. But I just want to quickly wrap up what I've been reading in the past couple of weeks because I've really had some amazing reads and I definitely want to recommend them to you. The first one that I want to discuss is by Emily McIntire. It's Scarred. She has this standalone series where she's doing retellings or reimaginings of Disney films or Disney stories. The first one is Hooked, which is a Peter Pan retelling, and I haven't read that one because I wanted to start with the one that is most intriguing to me, which is the Lion King retelling, and that is Scarred. I think that it's a really dark reimagining, I have to say that, and it's one where we're seeing Scar as the protagonist within the story who is really wanting to take the crown. And the heroine within the story, she has this revenge plot against his family. Specifically, she's going to have to marry his brother, who is in the role of Mufasa. And in the meantime, she's falling in love with him. So there's a lot of goodness going on within the story, and I have to say that I picked this up because I really want to support Emily McIntire in her current battle with cancer. She's going through heavy rounds of chemo, and there was this initiative going on through her publisher, and a lot of authors were urging readers to pick up her books because she is in dire need of some support and love from the book community. So I really wanted to participate in that, and I'm really happy that I picked this book up because it's really a very intriguing read, and I definitely want to read on in this series. And yeah, I'm really happy that I picked this one up. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, I wanted to pick up books by an author that is going to attend the book signing that I'm going to attend in September. I picked up 3 books by Lawson that are all interconnected in a series. The first one is Beautiful Enemy, the second one is Beautiful Sins, and the third one is Beautiful Ruin. And I have to say that I kind of expected more from it. I did give it 3 stars overall. It involves, first of all, I thought this was going to be a mafia story for some reason. I think because of the title, which is called Beautiful Enemy, the first one, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It's a story that involves a female, well-renowned DJ player of electronic music, EDM, and then the billionaire club owner of many clubs all over the world where she wants or is going to play at. And they have this forced proximity situation because she is going to be playing at one of his Ibiza clubs, and she's going to be living with him. And they start off being enemies because of a certain situation that happens in one of his clubs in LA, and then their story progresses from that point on. I kind of wanted more from it because I was really intrigued by the premise of having a female DJ. I wanted to see more of that kind of shine through the books. But yeah, it was an interesting read. I did enjoy it ultimately. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have finished it, but I really did enjoy it. And yeah, I probably will pick up more by this author to see if I like her other books also. But yeah, I did want to finish this because I'm going to meet this author at the book signing. Next up, I picked up a debut novel that I believe is going to remain an all-time favorite of mine. I absolutely love this book. I related to it so much. The book is Forget Me Not by Soto. It just recently released, I think at the start of July. And this book has so many things that just work for me. We've got a wedding setting because we've got the heroine, Emma, who is a wedding planner, and we've got the hero who is a florist. His name is Elliot. And we do get flashbacks for past and present setting where we see how they fell in love in the first place, and then something happened to break them apart, and now it's their second chance romance. And the second chance really is involving them having to work on a very huge profile wedding. And they kind of hadn't worked before since their falling out, and she really relies on him to help her out with this wedding. And the thing that really worked for me, first of all, is that the wedding is very prominent within this story, and you kind of feel as though you're involved in it. Sorry, my son really is intrigued by me filming here. So yeah, I was really intrigued by the wedding setting, by the fact that you feel like you're present, like you're maybe one of the guests or one of the spectators within the story. And then the other thing is that I really related to Elliot. I felt like when he was described falling in love with the heroine, he was very much like in awe of the fact that she's giving him the time of day, and that he could not believe how lucky he is that she is giving him the time of day, basically. So yeah, I really related to that and the way that he was portrayed. So I absolutely love this story. I gave it 5+ stars, and I definitely recommend you pick it up. Next up, I finally read Powerless by Elsie Silver. It's the third book within the Chestnut Spring series, and I do have to say that this is my least favorite Chestnut Spring book because I felt like it was kind of incomplete. I felt like the connection between Sloane and Jasper was not developed as well as the other two books. We follow Jasper, who is the best friend of the three brothers in the Chestnut Spring Ranch, and Sloane, who is their cousin, and they've grown up together. Basically, we do see some past kind of flashbacks, and most of the book is actually set in the present, and there just was some kind of disconnect for me because Jasper many times over was describing her as this wild girl when she was young, but in the past chapters we don't really get to see that. She was described with, yeah, in certain ways that we just don't see either in the present or in the past. So it was kind of not, it was just not flushed out as well as the other two books. So I did enjoy this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's actually a 3.5-star read for me, but I rounded it up to 4 stars. And I'm definitely going to read Reckless next to see if I'm going to like it as much as the first two, or whether it's going to be another miss for me. Next up, I had another 5-star read that I absolutely loved. Last year I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and I gave it 5 stars, and I was really hoping that the next book that I'm going to pick up is going to have the same effect, and it definitely did. The book, which just recently released, is called The 7-Year Slip. And this one has a touch of magical realism in it. It has a touch of time traveling in it, and it was just such a unique premise for me. We've got the story between Clementine, who is working in publishing, and she's working through her grief because she recently lost her aunt. And her aunt actually left her some inheritance, an apartment where she gets to live in New York. And this apartment is a bit of a magical place because it can transport her back in time 7 years into the past. And this is where she meets the hero, Iwan, I think his name is. And he is basically in this apartment. The first situation where they meet is kind of awkward because she doesn't obviously know that she has time traveled. And she kind of wakes up to someone being in the apartment, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "What are you doing here?" Because both of them have a reason to be there, but the time travel aspect kind of takes them for a spin. And we've got a situation where they basically agree together that they're going to spend this time together in the apartment. And what happens is that, ooh, sorry, my son just bumped the camera. So what we see here is that the heroine and hero, they agree together that they're going to share this apartment, and he cooks for her because he's an aspiring chef, and they have this absolutely meaningful conversation for strangers, and yeah, they have an immediate connection. But what happens is basically, what do you do? Yeah, this is what happens when you film with a child. So what happens is basically he, she doesn't know when she's going to get transported back into the present, and when she does, she kind of immediately knows that she is missing him and that she wants a connection with him, and that she doesn't know how to find him in present times. But then in present times, she gets an opportunity to work on publishing a cookbook, and this cookbook is by a very famous chef who we then find out that it's Ewan. I found that it was really special because, you know, it's such an unique premise. Not really unique because you do read it a lot in second chance romances, but in this one it was just so special that you see the heroine fall in love with him in the past setting, but then also in the present setting at the same time. So I really found that it was very unique and very nice to read through, and I just flew through it. I had such a kind of a giddy reaction to it when I was reading through it, and the fact that she is called Clementine but he calls her Lemon, it was just so cute. I really, really loved this one, and yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I definitely recommend it. Next up, I picked up a book that I'm really happy that I got to pick up because it wasn't on my radar, but I saw that Bree from In Love and Words and Ava from Ava Romance Reads, they are hosting this chronically courageous book club where they're picking up books with chronic illness representation or disability representation. And for this month's pick, they picked Mickey Chambers Shakes It Up. This is a book by Charish Reid, and it's one that just hits all the right spots for me because, first of all, it's a romance between two people who are in their 30s and 40s, which is my demographic group. I really miss more romances that are focusing on people who are kind of more mature, but this one just really did it for me. We've got a hero who is a grandpa heroine who is very kind of independent and more sunshiny as a disposition. And we've got a widower, and we've got a heroine who works at this university, but she doesn't really get a lot of hours, so she needs to somehow compensate to get her salary up. So she starts working at Diego's bar, the hero's bar. And the thing that really made this so much relatable for me and like really hit me in all the right places is that the heroine deals with the same chronic illnesses I do. She has a hyperactive thyroid, and the thing is that with this chronic illness, it's kind of difficult to, yeah, I don't want to go too deep into it, but you feel like nothing is wrong with you most of the time. You do have some symptoms, and you know that something is wrong, but it doesn't really strike you the whole time, or it doesn't really bring you down the whole time. But there are certain moments where you get the symptoms, and it just you feel like you're kind of normal, and you should be able to push through any kind of discomfort and just go about your day, but at the same time your body just gives you signs that you should slow down or that you should not be doing what you're doing. And in this book there are certain instances where this definitely happens. So yeah, I really related to this one because of what the heroine is dealing with, but also because of their story, how they're getting this mature love going on. And it was a bit fast in the progress of the romance, but that didn't bother me because I found that both of them really were in need of a human connection. So yeah, this was a definite 5-star read for me, and I am so happy that I picked it up because of this book club recommendation. Next up, I picked a short and sweet novella by Kennedy Ryan, my all-time favorite author. The book is called Coming Home. It's a second chance, right person at the wrong time romance, and it just gave me all the right vibes. And because this one is on Audible, it's kind of like a a full production. I don't know how it's called, where you also get some sound effects, some music background, if you will. And it was just a really, really good time. It was a short, sweet, and hitting all the right spots. So I gave this one 4 stars. Next up, I picked up another all-time favorite book for me. It's the second book that Abby Jimenez released within the Part of Your world. And the book is called Yours Truly. I absolutely love this book. I don't even know if I love Part of Your World more than this one. I think it's kind of equal for me. This one just has the type of hero that every woman would swoon over. Jacob is the absolute best. And Bree also is just an absolutely amazing heroine. We've got Bree, who is this doctor at the hospital. She's kind of taken over for Alexis's absence because Alexis from the first book moved to a small town. And she is now kind of almost vying for this head of ER position, I think. And there's this new doctor who is possibly also going to be going for the same position. This new doctor, he is dealing with anxiety, and the representation is amazing for this character and what he's dealing with. And she has a brother who has kidney failure. So this is represented very vividly throughout the book. So if you have triggers on that, please look it up. But it's just such a personal story for Abby to write. This is mentioned in the acknowledgements or in the afterword of the book, and it was done just with such care and such delicate eye, and I absolutely love this story. We've got a bit of a fake dating arrangement going on within the story. We've got just a lot of amazing conversations, and we've got some exchange of letters, which I absolutely loved. And there's just so much goodness within this book. I think this is, and the thing that I really loved is that I picked up the audiobook together with the physical book, so I was able to annotate my favorite parts of it. And this is a book that I'll gladly come back to and reread as a comfort read, because it just has so many quiet moments within it, but so many loud moments within it as well that are very important to acknowledge, specifically because of the anxiety rep. I just cannot say enough about this book that will be sufficient to really let you know how much I appreciated it. So yeah, I definitely encourage you to pick this up if you haven't yet. Next up, I picked up another Olivia Hayle book. I've read a couple. Some of them were 3-star reads for me, some of them were 4-star reads for me. And this one I'm really glad I pushed through, because at the start of the book, I was thinking that I was not going to finish it. But when I pushed through, I really, really enjoyed it. The book is called How to Honeymoon Alone. And it deals with 2 characters who are both supposed to go on their honeymoon, but both of them, for different reasons, have split up with their partners at the last moment before the wedding, and they go to this resort alone without their partners. And because everyone at this resort, I think it's in the Bahamas if I'm not mistaken, they're all coupled up, everyone goes on their honeymoon there, they kind of strike up a deal that they're going to pretend to be on a honeymoon together so that they don't get all these like pity looks. And it just is awkward when everyone is a couple and is going on these activities together that you go on your own. So they kind of strike up a deal with that. He's very much a very serious, stoic, grumpy kind of a guy. She is more of a sunshiny kind of character. And within this story, we've got like 2 weeks of forced proximity. We've got 2 weeks of a lot of conversations, and I absolutely enjoyed this one. I give it 4 stars in the end. And if you're willing to push through the first like 30% of the book, because there's a lot of building up of what happened within the first 30%, but after that you really get their connection and their conversations that absolutely cement for you that this is a couple that should be together. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. The last book I picked up is The Pact by Karina Halle. I picked this up because I saw that Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl recommended it. I think she recommended it in her Angsty Romances video. And yeah, I do have to say, because I've read quite a few books by Karina Halle this year, this is probably my least favorite one. It involves kind of a weird love triangle. There's three friends. We've got James, we've got Lyndon, and we've got Stephanie. And Stephanie and James were together first, but it didn't work out between them, and James and Lyndon are best friends. So when they break up, because James and Stephanie work together, they all form this friendship group, and it felt like Lyndon and Stephanie couldn't get together out of respect for James, so they kind of kept their relationship a secret, and this secret keeping obviously brings a lot of anxiety or angst within the book. And well, I did appreciate some things within it. The spice is always really good when it comes to Karina Halle books, but it just was too much of secret keeping, just bad decision making within the story that made me not appreciate it as much as her other books. So I gave this one 3.5 stars, and yeah, it's definitely my least favorite Karina Halle book. These were all my recent reads. I hope you enjoyed this video, because I did have a lot of gushing to do about all the 5-star reads that I managed to finish this month. I don't know what it is with July, but typically it's a very good reading month for me when it comes to ratings. I really read a lot of good books in July, so next year I'm going to be looking forward to this month. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.